Well, hello, friends, and welcome to episode one, scene one of what I'm calling the Tiny Kitchen series. Because as you can see, this is indeed a tiny kitchen, and the camera, please believe me, is catching almost all of the kitchen. Just on the other side of this refrigerator is a tiny, tiny counter, and then that's it, y'all. It goes straight into the dining room after that. So, thank you for squeezing in with me today on the Tiny Kitchen series. Tonight we are making bean quesadillas. It's a two bean quesadilla that has black beans and pinto beans in it. And I'm super hungry, so I'm just going to dive right in. First of all, with this being the beta series, the beta episode of Tiny Kitchen, there's going to be some flips and flubs and mistakes and whatnot along the way, but that just makes it more rustic, I feel like. Kind of like when our baking doesn't turn out like it does in the magazines. So here we go. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started. So first things first, the first thing you want to do is spray your pan with Pam, which is what we're going to do right now. And then just set it on about medium heat generally. You can kind of test it as it goes. Now, some cooks wait until the pan is really, really hot to put in the onions and whatnot, to put in the next ingredients. I feel like that just wastes time, to be frank with you. So we're just going to add this in right away. I'll show you as I go. I understand the vantage point. We're still working on the vantage point for this kind of thing. So what goes in first are some sliced fire roasted red peppers. You can also use jalapeno peppers. You can use pickled jalapeno peppers, fresh, doesn't matter. I like the taste of roasted red peppers, so that's what I put in today. So we'll add that to the pan. And then also with that, we will add a full diced onion. Now, I gave it a very rough dice because I like a lot of chunks in my quesadilla. I like onion, so I'm just going to add that in. I don't want to hide it at all. If you are onion averse, feel free to use less of the onion or smaller pieces, smaller dice, etc. Now, you may have also seen tomato on this plate. That is for prep reasons only that I'm using the same plate with this, because why dirty up another plate? So that will be added on in a little bit. And you can hear our dishwasher kick on as well. My apologies for that. I thought that cycle was over. As you can see, we are just beta testing our way through this today, but we're just going to roll with it because dinner waits for no man, no woman, or no dishwasher. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just stirring around the red pepper and the onion and just kind of giving it a nice coating of the spray, of the cooking spray. And then what I'm going to do next is add some garlic powder. If you want to measure, maybe a teaspoon to start. I confess I don't really measure. I just kind of add it in. Remember, a little bit of garlic does go a long way generally. And then I also am adding in some ground cumin. About a teaspoon too, if you want to measure. Again, I'm not really into the whole measuring thing when it comes to cooking, so I just kind of add it in. But with a teaspoon, you can't go wrong. I'm pretty sure that this recipe is already up on the blog, and I will link to it under this video, if so. And it should have better measurements than the ones I'm giving you now. So now it's a lot of hurry up and wait, and I'll chat with you as we wait. But what you're going to do basically is wait until the onion becomes translucent. The roasted red pepper, it's roasted, right? So it's pretty much ready to go as it stands. But the onion we want to get, it doesn't have to be browned. It doesn't have to be completely cooked, but you want it to be translucent before we move on to the next step. That generally takes 4 to 5 minutes over medium heat. If you get a little bit hungry and wish to move along, you can always bump that up just a touch more to about medium high. I wouldn't go much higher than that. I would err on the side of medium high if you're going to do that. So while this cooks, I will just continue to stir, and you don't want things to burn and whatnot. And with the cooking spray, that does have a little more potential to burn than if we had used olive oil. But this is a little healthier, and we are in the Christmas season now, guys, and I have got to cut corners where I can with regard to the calories. I'm sure you all are in the same boat, though you all look lovely, I must say. So I guess I'll tell you how I got this recipe in the first place. So 100 years ago, I used to work in a newspaper, And when I was not on the clock, so to speak, or when I was on the clock and waiting for something to happen, I would peruse the Associated Press wires. And one day, gosh, this was probably 1999, 2000 maybe, I came across a quesadilla recipe, just kind of your basic quesadilla recipe on the wire. And I thought, gosh, like, why haven't I done one of those? Now, this was before I was vegetarian, but I was already a little nervous about cooking meat. I was in college at that time and quite skittish about poisoning myself if I did not thoroughly cook the chicken or the beef or what have you. So I just omitted it entirely. A lot of my friends were vegetarian already. I thought, great, this is a quesadilla recipe that everybody can enjoy, except for maybe the vegans. And that will unfortunately be the case again tonight because I neglected to pick up vegan cheese. I only picked up just regular dairy cheese. I don't want to forget here while I'm standing here talking to you. So at any rate, I came across this recipe about 2000, 1999, something like that. And again, it was just very basic. And I thought only it had meat. And I thought, well, why don't I add black beans or pinto beans or something? So I went to the store and I grabbed both of those things, black beans and pinto beans. And I got to work. And after a lot of trial and error and, testing this and seeing how I would like that, and do I want more onion or more pepper or less of this or this spice or that spice, I came down to the recipe that I'm talking with you about now. So this is one of the vastly tried and true recipes in my arsenal. It's been around now for 15 years, probably one of the first recipes I can really call my own. So it holds a really special place in my heart, and I used to make it all the time, 2000 and 2001. I mean, it was the staple. We probably had it once or twice a week, and then I would have the leftovers for lunch and that kind of thing. I don't make it nearly as much now. It probably comes out about once a quarter, but frankly, every time I have it, I say, why am I not doing this more often? Because I really do enjoy it, and it's completely simple to make. It's, just a few very short steps. The other thing I like about this recipe is that it doesn't require frying of the quesadilla. So many quesadillas you then pan fry. So you put it together like we'll do in a minute, and then you pan fry it. Well, these you bake, which again, when we are trying to watch our girlish figures in the holiday season or anytime, is a welcome change. And it's healthier, it's better for you, that kind of thing. And frankly, for me, because I am a mess when it comes to flipping things in the pan, I'm a horrible crepe maker. I'm a horrible pancake flipper. I fuss and I fight with it. This makes it so much easier. You put 2 on a pan, stick it in the oven, and have done with it. So while we've been chatting, the onions are looking very nice, and they've taken on a lot of the red tone of the roasted red pepper, which really is a beautiful combination. Let me show you here what it looks like. I don't know how well you can see that. Again, this is a test. But things are coming together very nicely, which means that it's time to add the next component, which are the beans I was telling you about. So there's nothing fancy here. These are just 2 cans, drained please, of pinto and black beans respectively. So we'll put in the pinto first. And then we will put in the black beans. And of course any brand will do. Being the Recessionista, I got these on sale, whatever was cheapest. The black bean, the Hanover brand, was on sale for 88 cents at Safeway, so you can't beat that. So you blend that around for just a minute, just to kind of give it a little bit of a mixture here. This. And I'll show you what it looks like. You see? Just a nice mixture, no magic to it at all. And then I will go ahead and add my salt and my pepper. So I'll start with the pepper. I like a lot of pepper, and the roasted red peppers are not especially spicy, so I feel like it can handle it. And then we'll add a little bit of salt. It doesn't really need a ton of salt, especially if you're using canned beans. So I just add a little bit, just kind of to say that I did. And mix that around nicely. And then what I like to do at this point, if I've had the stove on medium, which I do at this point, I like to crank it up just to medium high. And because this is a gas stove, I have to look under the pan, so excuse me as I do this. We have basically 2 options on this stove, low and burning up if you don't really watch it. So I wanted to make sure I did not do either of those. You know, the other nice thing, and I think I alluded to this a minute ago, the other nice thing about this recipe is it makes a lot of quesadillas. And they hang out in the fridge really super well. So you can make a whole batch, which is what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to make as many as the bean mixture will allow. And then Lily and I will each have one, and one big tortilla full. And then I'll just put the rest in the fridge. And that's lunch for the week, which is a welcome change for us. We do love a good leftover. Usually I will serve something like rice or what have you with this. Tonight we decided just to have quesadillas, just to kind of eat a little lighter. I mean, I really I hate to keep harping on the holiday theme, but again, I mean, everywhere you turn, it is cookies and candy and big feasts and dinner parties and wine and champagne, and everything seems so fun until you get on the scale in the morning, and then it is no longer so fun, which was my situation this morning. So I'm really getting right with the Lord, as it were. I'm really going to stay on the straight and narrow for a little while. So what I'm doing now, even though I drained the beans, there's still a lot of liquid in there. So what I'm doing right now is kind of allowing some of that liquid to burn off. I do recommend that you use a slotted spoon regardless when you transfer these over to the tortillas in a little bit. Just because there's, no matter how well you drain them, there's always going to be liquid remaining in these cans. And while that is working, I'm going to add this final part here, the tomatoes. And all I did was take one tomato just from the grocery store and dice it up again into an extremely rough dice and add it in. And pardon me while I sneeze. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. And I'll just put this on the counter over there. And then once I mix in the tomatoes, and you can see how now we've got a big pan full. I just kind of mix them in, let them cook for just a minute or two, and while they are bubbling, while everything is cooking very nicely, I will add my cilantro, which again, I'm sorry to say, is not from the back garden. The days of cilantro have long passed in the back garden for the year, so I just went to the grocery and got some fresh cilantro. I have also been known to use dried cilantro. That's perfectly well. Have you heard that thing about the soap, how some people, they don't taste cilantro to be cilantro, it only tastes like soap to them? Isn't that so sad? Are you one of those people? That is such a shame, if so, because cilantro is so good. But if this does taste like soap to you, please do omit it, because I do not want the quesadillas to taste like soap to your palate. Now, excuse me while I wash my hands here. Just going to rinse them off from the cilantro. Then what I'm going to do is just mix the cilantro in. Now you see how that's coming along now. And it's really looking good at this point. Now I want to go ahead and prepare you that in a minute I'm going to open a bag of shredded cheese. And when I do, in 3 seconds time, you're going to start hearing a meowing from below the camera. That would be in the vicinity of my knees. That would be Lucky the Wonder Cat coming in, because anytime she hears anything that sounds like cheese, she comes in to investigate and begs loudly. So what I might do, I don't always, but I do it enough that unfortunately it does reward her. I might just put a little fingerful of cheese in her bowl, which is down here by my left leg. Just as hush money, quite frankly, so we can visit alone, just the two of us. I've also been known to do that when we have friends over to the house. I will just give her a little hush money. And I know she's banking on it. And I know that cheese is not good for cats. And I know that I should not reward bad behavior. I know all of these things. But I feel like after 13 years together, we both deserve it, quite frankly. I deserve a little peace and quiet. She deserves a little cheese. I feel like that's how it goes. So anyway, that has nothing to do with the meal tonight other than a secondary reference, which is to say you're going to hear some meowing in a moment when I put these on the baking sheet. But that's just her way of saying hi. So I'm going to let this cook for just another minute or so, just to make sure everything is so nicely mingled together. And the cilantro has really added a nice fleck of green to the pan, and the tomatoes look so good. They kind of are in contrast with the roasted red pepper, quite honestly. It's a different kind of red, and it really does look lovely. To say nothing of the taste, which I hope will be very good, as advertised tonight. I would hate to give you something that is garbage. So we're really bubbling now. And a lot of that liquid that we had seen, both from the canned beans and also now the tomatoes, has burned off. Again, though, I am going to reach below me into the now finished dishwasher in a moment and get a slotted spoon, just to ensure that, you all have just come over for dinner tonight. You see, we don't stand on form here. We just, you're just here visiting. This is not the White House. I may run the dishwasher while we talk. Now this is looking much better, and I know you cannot smell it, but it does smell wonderful in here right now. This lovely aroma of onion and garlic and cumin and cilantro. You can't really smell the tomato, and you can't really smell the red pepper at this point, but the rest just pops. The whole kitchen, such as it is, the whole tiny kitchen, now has this wonderful aroma, and I'm sure that in just minutes, Lily is going to come down wondering what all the fuss is about. So I think this is generally cooked as much as I want it to cook at this point. I'll try to lift it up, though it's getting awfully unwieldy, so I'll see how well I can tilt it for you. Can you see that at all now? See, it's really blended in nicely. So I'm going to reach below me for a moment. I'm going to turn off the heat and then reach below me for a moment, if you excuse me, to get a slotted spoon. I'll be right back. It's hot. I'm going to cool it off. Like that. Uh-oh. A piece of the detergent ball got stuck to it. So it'll be nice and clean, but talk about soap. I'm glad that we don't... That would not be a cilantro initiated soap. All right, so now we're ready to go. So the plating for this really couldn't be simpler. What you do is you take 2 tortillas a piece, okay? For each quesadilla, it's going to be 2 tortillas a piece. You could also, and I've been known to do this, fold one on each other, but I find that to be more unwieldy and more difficult to handle. So we're not going to do that, because this is my recipe and I'm going to do it how I like. So we will say goodbye to the wooden spoon and say hello to the slotted spoon. Now I'm going to dip out of the frame in order to get my cheese, and this is where the cat will greet you, so listen closely. Now she's not going to do it, watch. Well, oh, here she comes. Did you hear that pathetic squeak? Yes, this is Hush Money here. Hush Money. It's a free-for-all in the tiny kitchen in the evenings. Welcome to my life. So all you're going to do is, again, I have to repeat, a slotted spoon. Just simply spoon some of the bean mixture. Doesn't have to be sparse, but I wouldn't weigh it down necessarily. Spoon it onto 1 tortilla. And I would go up until about 1 inch to maybe a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch from the edge. You don't want to push it like a pizza or something all the way out to the edge. But you want enough that everyone can enjoy, that each diner can enjoy enough of the beans to make it worth their while. Then what you do, and this is going to cause the cat to howl again, but she's now had her share. You take the cheese. I'm just using, quite frankly, Trader Joe's Light Mexican tonight. And as liberally as you wish. And this is so easy to veganize because you can just use Daya, Pepper Jack, or, really anything. Any vegan cheese will do nicely. And then you cover the bean mixture with the cheese. Again, not going out to the very far reaches or anything. And then you just do that again. Now, each of my pans can really only hold about 2 quesadillas at a time. Now you hear the pathetic cat. Please, let's just ignore her. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the second quesadilla. I just spoon on enough of the beans in order to be meaningful, but not so much that it's going to weigh down the quesadilla and you're not going to be able to pick it up and eat it. Usually about 3 or 4 of these slotted spoonfuls will do nicely. It doesn't need to be piled high or anything, because remember, you're going to put another tortilla on top of all this when it's done. So you want that to be easy. And then again, just a couple of pinches of the cheese, however much you like. And please, again, forgive the animal. Drama queen, drama queen. And now that's done, so I'll seal this up so she'll stop yowling. And then, so when you're finished, you should have 2 quesadillas, much like this. I'll take the top off one so you can see what it looks like. You see? Very simple. And now all you do before putting it in the oven is you get back out your cooking spray and then just spray the top just very, very lightly. Just a quick little spray. I just kind of do a Z almost. And that's all you need to do with that. And then all you do is put it in the oven at 450 for probably about 10 minutes. Sometimes 7. But 10 will 10 is especially for the first batch, especially if you're like me and have not preheated your oven, because who thinks ahead like that? Certainly not me. Now you'll notice that I'm reaching up above me to put this in the oven. This is not a microwave that I'm reaching up into. This is actually my tiny kitchen convection oven, which I was really skeptical about when we moved into this townhome. It's wonderful. It cooks as well as a regular oven ever did. Now it's smaller. So as our you know, our friends say, oh, well, you can't cook a turkey in it. Well, no, but we don't eat turkey, so it works out just fine. But in general, I mean, I can cook an entire Thanksgiving or Christmas meal in this little oven. So we can certainly withstand some quesadillas tonight. So I will set the temperature to 450. I know it feels completely like a microwave, but I promise you it's not. And then I'll set the time for 10 minutes. Hit start. And that's it. So we'll visit on the other side. I'll show you what they look like as the finished product. And we will move right along. So meet back here in a minute. And we're back 10 minutes later. And the oven has just dinged. It is now ready. And let us bring out the final. Now there you go. You cannot see this obviously, but they are blazing hot. What I will now do, you can do one of a couple of things for serving. You can either serve them right like this and eat them kind of hamburger style, or you can do what we like to do and what we're probably going to do tonight, which is cut them with a pizza cutter. We generally will do quarters, so like down this way and then crossways. The cheese is beautifully melted. The vegetables have finished cooking up just very nicely. The spices had already gelled just wonderfully in the pan, but then they have a chance to kind of finish off in the oven. The reason that we add a little bit of cooking spray to the top is it just gives them a little softness up here. It makes them feel like they have been fried, even though they don't have any of that, you know, fried the bad calories for you, the things, you know, from the pan and whatnot. And quite frankly, if I had done these in the pan, they would not look like this right now. They would be a mess. This cheese would be off one way, the beans another, the tortillas kind of smooshed together. It's a bad scene. So at any rate, these are completely ready to eat now after just 10 minutes. I've got another batch that I'm actually going to put in while we talk. These will be for lunch tomorrow. And that is it. I think the next thing to do is to allow these to cool for just a minute so that I can handle them, and then cut them with a pizza cutter in 4 quarters. So I think the only thing left here today is to lift a Trader Jose's to you. You can tell we've been to Trader Joe's today. Just to lift a beverage to you and say, bon appetit.